Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Hey, so welcome to the show. Today is Monday. This is going out live on Mintwave Radio. If you already have the Alexa skill, you can just ask Alexa for Mintwave or go to the website above, check out our weekly schedule for the shows ahead. You can download the app for Apple and Android. Feel free to subscribe to any that take your fancy. Now, today's episode is 148. And today we have the lovely Amrita Rose, who is a writer, a life and career coach, and wisdom worker. We're going to be talking about reconnecting with your heart and reclaiming yourself. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, helping coaches and therapists to get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. Now, Amrita is a writer, life and career coach. She's navigated 3 major career changes, and she's recently published her first book, No Plaid Suits: How Not to Have a Boring, Normal Life. To 5-star reviews, she has garnered enthusiastic appreciation for her community-based programs of yoga, meditation, integrated art practices, and positive psychology. So, welcome to the show, Amrita.
Hi, Karen. It's really good to talk with you again. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. If you could just share, first of all, with the audience a little bit more about your story of how you came to be doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I'm going to work backwards from writing the book because that is the thing. And can I show it off? Because I'm super proud of the cover.
Absolutely. Please do. Please do.
And here's why. Because the cover is me. This is totally, it's me. It's enthusiastic and it's passionate about everything in life. And really that talks to the idea of resilience and confidence and coming home to yourself, coming home to your own heart. So what got me here, what got me to write this book, and what got me to this point is that I really wanted to make the world a better place. And I know that sounds probably fairly idealistic, but I'm 59 years old, so I can be as idealistic as I want. And so I wanted to bring all of the information that I usually shared in my blog for several years or with clients out to a broader group of people. So that was really the impetus for pulling the book together. And it's a series of short essays and everything from like how to cook a meal if you think you don't have anything in your house to how to let go of any relationship from romantic to your boss, all of that. So there's the wisdom piece right in there. As you mentioned, I've come through 3 major career changes. I started out as a university professor teaching photography and digital imaging and all things photo related. And then I went into the more tech end of the photographic world and building and designing imaging systems. And then was also teaching yoga and meditation in very traditional forms for several decades. And a friend finally pointed out, because I was at this point where when I hit about 45 and I was like, okay, what do I want to do next? I don't really want to go back to academia and I don't really want to keep teaching yoga 7 days a week. And she said, everything you've done in your entire life is about teaching people how to see the world in a different way. Why don't you become a life coach? And I thought, what the hell is a life coach? Because I had no idea at that point. It wasn't really a big thing. And then that week, because the universe always shows up and shows you things when you will allow it. So literally the end of that week, I got a call from a colleague at Kripalu Yoga Center in Massachusetts. And she said, hey, I'm running this life coach training and it's going to be the last one I do. I'm stopping doing that program, but I'd love to have you in the space and have you in here. It was mostly a lot younger people. She said, I really want your energy. Would you come and just do the 6-month program and I'll certify you? And I went, yeah, sure. And I got down there and really didn't know what I had signed up for because that's usually how things go with my life. And it was the first place where I really felt like I could use everything that I had been learning and practicing, and all of these seemingly random classes that I had taken and certifications and all of the teaching. But really, it was about teaching people how to see the world a different way. So 14 years ago, I became a certified life coach, and I've gone through several different coach certifications at this point because I love learning. And all of that, again, fed into the blog that I wrote for 3 years, and then that all became the book. So yeah, that's the short.
Wow, wonderful. But isn't it interesting that when you look back at your life, and then you can join the dots. So how wonderful that you got to a place where you could just bring all your skill sets in together to help people. It's funny, isn't it? Is that the way it goes? I'm torn. There's a bit of a contradiction in my head, because some would say then that is actually fate. You were destined to go and do that because and then my idea is, I don't like the idea of fate, because that means it's all planned out. We have choice. I could say the same. I could look back and go, all those little stepping stones have led me to where I'm now. What's your take on that?
Yeah. And I love that you brought it up. I also think it's quite ironic and funny that it took someone outside of myself to point out, here's the through line, right? Because I couldn't see it. I was like, what am I going to do? And she's, duh, this is what you do.
You weren't listening. This is the thing, isn't it? Sometimes we're not listening to the universe. So we need that little nudge of an outside force.
Yeah. Or we get caught in a different reason for years. And I will get back to your question, because I think it's a great one about fate and destiny and free will. But for years, I've been planning this photo book, and it's a book of relationships. And I had I had interviewed a whole bunch of people and said, but I interviewed them individually saying, okay, tell me about the first time you met your partner. And inevitably, they tell me two different stories, either two different episodes or two different takes on the episode. And so I think when we're in our lives and we're doing things, it's very easy for us to think, I'm doing this because I like, helping people, or I'm doing this because I like teaching. And it took my friend Jessie saying to me, I think you're doing everything you do because you like showing people how to see the world in a new way. And I went, oh yeah, that does tie everything together, right? So it's easy for us to think, oh no, it's this thing, because that's what we're focusing on. So the idea of fate and free will is a fascinating one. And I see it from both sides. One is, and I'm going to get a little science geeky on you here for a minute.
Go for it.
So one is, if you think about, if we agree that, or we think that there is a single consciousness and we are part of that consciousness, then as individual humans, we're like individual cells. And as a cell, we have a certain action to perform. And so we have to perform that action, or the whole organism falls apart. So that's fate, right? Because if we have an action that is necessary for us to perform, that's fate. We can't not perform that action, or we destroy the whole thing. So if your cells in your liver don't work, the whole organism's not great.
Yeah.
I also think, though, within that set of actions that are necessary to the organism, there are a lot of choices that we can make about how we perform those actions. And so there's free will. Okay. So I see them as nested within each other. And so it's a both and, or what Alan Watts calls a go with. It's not one or the other.
Yeah. So I suppose that's when people are looking for their purpose, because they do have something that they're here to perform. Is that what would you tie that in with?
Yeah. So I would use the words mission and purpose. And so if you think of purpose as the thing that once you have completed all your missions, then you understand why you've done them. And that is your purpose. But you can't know your purpose until you complete all the tasks. And you can't complete the tasks until you do all the actions. And you can't complete the actions until you have a sense of yourself. And
you were completing your missions to get to where you are.
So it's a lot like I'm going to use an analogy from Matthias de Stefano, because I think it's a great analogy. if you think of each task that you do or each action, and that creates an outcome, and then those outcomes are your mission accomplished, right? So if I'm the messenger and you hand me a letter and you say, okay, take this letter to this other person, and then you hand the letter over. Now, I don't know what's in the letter, but my mission, my task was to take the letter from you and take it to this other person and hand it off, right? If I do those kinds of things, if I do every task or every mission, at the end, right, it might be that letter got me a job, or it might be that letter was a recommendation for someone else to get work or to buy a house or whatever. So we don't know the end result until we get to the end. And then we see, oh, all of these things that I did, all these actions I took, all these missions I completed added up to this purpose, right? My purpose in that case, my purpose was to allow this letter to go to who it needed to go to so something else could happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes. Because that's what I've toyed with. I've had this sort of contradiction. I don't know whether I like the idea of fate, because that's removing free will. But it is funny when you look back and you think, oh my goodness, that's why I did that, and then did that and did that, and now it's all come together.
Yeah.
But many don't, right? Many don't because they are stuck. Maybe gone and got a job, and that they're not necessarily, that isn't on purpose, but then they get bills and mortgages and feel, it's obviously only a story, but they feel like they're stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
I know today's topic was going to be about reconnecting with your heart and reclaiming yourself.
This goes right back to that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you did that beautifully. So think about this. So if you are in, and this is, if you're listening to this, you can take 2 seconds and just stop and think for a minute. Think about a situation in your life, whether it's work or a relationship or mortgages or whatever. Think about that. And if that feels stuck to you, there's 2 questions you can ask yourself. One is, what is the choice I'm not allowing myself to think about? Because it might seem crazy, or it might seem illogical, or it might seem impossible. But what is the choice I'm not allowing myself to think about? And then the other question is, what is it I'm not willing to tell myself? And so when we use those 2 questions, they open a lot of curiosity about what choice do I actually have that I haven't thought about? Because that brings us back to our heart. Right? That brings us back into resonance. And the biggest thing I see, especially in clients who are like, oh my God, I've had this job for 10 years and I can't possibly let it go. And I'm like, you can, right? But there are things you're telling yourself that may or may not be true about making that choice. And so go through that and see, like, okay, question it, right? Is this thing true? If I quit my job, I'll lose my house. Was that actually true? It might be true, but it might not be true. What if you don't quit your job immediately? What if you start a part-time job and then you transition? Then you don't lose your house. Or do you really need the house you have right now? Maybe your mortgage or your house or your whatever is linked to where you're living is tying you to a job that really doesn't suit you. Well, so you can sell your house and buy another house, right? Or you could move somewhere different. If there's a better job that's more suited to you, you can actually, but it's a matter of, the question is like, what do I have right now that's not really aligned with my heart, with my inner alignment? And am I willing to think about or let that go? And what would serve me? So that's where we come back into resonance.
And do you think people are just resistant to the change, whatever the change is? Sometimes it can be really minimal. You could say to somebody, I don't know, even though I was doing fitness or something, all you need to do is spend 5 minutes a day doing this. They would still,
yeah,
even though everybody could find 5 minutes, there would be resistance because it's a change. Why do you think as humans, because we all do it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I seem to be so resistant to, it's not even the thing, it's just the change.
So there's a biological imperative to survive. And the biological imperative also is driven by the idea, the thought that whatever is known hasn't killed you yet. So if it's something that's known, there's we call it the reptilian brain. It's the primitive part of the brain, right? And so that is the part of the brain that is tasked with keeping us safe and surviving. And so that part of the brain, whatever we already know, whether it's wonderful or horrible, we know it. And we know we can survive it. Now, if I ask somebody to do something different, that part of the brain goes, oh, wait a minute, hang on. This could kill us. Even if it's try drinking more water and less soda.
Yeah.
Or wake up 5 minutes earlier and do 3 deep breaths for meditation in the morning. That part of the brain goes, wait, this is new. That's why anything new feels really prickly and uncomfortable in the beginning. And you have to train. It's like training body memory. You have to train all the parts of your body that this new thing will not kill you. Right?
It's
and then
body system.
It is, but it's also what keeps us alive. So it's very useful, right? So when we know that, so there's 3 levels of alignment and resonance we can come into. And the first is our brain, because that's the one that resonates on talking again about energy, right? Everything is made of energy, literally. Everything is made of energy. Physicists have been telling us this for decades. So our brains function at a fast frequency. That means that the wavelength is like this. It's very up and down very quickly, which means our brains process information very quickly. And we've even got a phrase for this. It's, oh, my brain was going faster than I could write, right? Or faster than I could really spit the words out. Okay. So your brain processes really quickly. Then there's your emotions. And your emotions are triggered by the thoughts in your brain. So your emotions process a little bit slower, right? And so we get information in, it comes in, right? I should wake up 10 minutes early and do a 10-minute yoga practice before I do anything else in the day. So my brain goes, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then it sends information to the emotional system, which is chemical. And the emotional system, which is chemical and electronic, says, or electrical, says, maybe, okay, how do I feel about that? How am I feeling? Which chemicals? Okay, yeah, I like, okay, it feels okay. A little scary, but okay. And then the body, which is like this because it's literally mass, right? Body's, oh, hey, that thing we were doing yesterday, that was so interesting. Oh, wait, what? What? You want me, what? What? Oh, wow, I'm feeling something. Oh, it feels good, but it's a new set of chemistry. I don't know how this feels. I'm not sure. You want me to get up at 5? So there's that process. So we need to learn to be patient with the process as it trickles down through the physical body. Takes the longest time to go, oh, okay, we're going to get up 10 minutes early. We're going to do these exercises, whatever. Yeah. So but when we can sit with that and allow it, that's when we come back into alignment, back into resonance.
Brilliant way of describing it. Love that. But again, I suppose if most people are not aware of that. So I suppose awareness is step 1. And then obviously it takes practice, because otherwise we just resort back to our default settings, which is no chance am I getting up at 5.
Yeah. So the easiest way to create that. So what's a new habit that can we use you for a minute?
Yeah.
All right, I'll put you on the spot. Okay. So what's a new, easy, simple habit that you would like to create for yourself?
Well, and it would be going back to exercise. I've been out of the game, even though that was my whole industry. And I am like, there is no excuse. I can, like I just said, I don't have to spend an hour. I can do 5. Right. I've got weights here. I've got a pull up, but I can do stuff.
Okay.
But and I want the result.
Right.
But I'm still avoiding. I'll come in and do it one day. It's not consistent yet.
Okay. So 2 things. And this is, again, if you're listening to this or watching, this is something you can try as well. So first, notice when you were naming what it is you wanted, the next thing you said was, oh, and this is why it's going to be hard, or I need to. So you've already started out by yelling at yourself about something you want to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you say it again, but instead of saying need to, maybe just try saying I desire. So what happens when you say that out loud?
I desire to just get up and do a short workout before I do anything else.
Okay. So how
Totally
that feel?
different feeling. Yeah, totally different feeling.
Okay, so now you've changed the energy around it because you're no longer yelling at yourself for not having done it, right? Now you're like, oh, I desire this. Sexy.
Totally different. Great. So I was arguing with myself that first time round, wasn't I? I'm making excuses instantly.
Well, and also berating yourself for something you haven't even done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's we don't respond well to that as humans. Okay, so now you've set the stage for, oh, I desire to get up a little earlier. So again, I'm a big fan of very practical steps that are short. So would you be willing to get up 8 minutes earlier in the morning? Just 8 minutes, not more. You're not allowed to get up more than 8 minutes early.
Yeah. See, that's an easier goal. Yeah.
Okay. So now you set the stage with desire. Now you've made it 8 minutes. And I intentionally don't pick 5 or 10 because everyone does everything at 5 or 10. So 7, 6, 8, 9, make it an odd number.
Why is that?
You'll remember
why
it better.
Is that? Okay.
And it also sounds more fun. Right? It's 8 minutes. It also sounds more doable. 10 minutes sounds awfully long, but 8 minutes, I could totally do 8 minutes. Okay. And then now you've set the time and you're not allowed to do more than 8 minutes. You're not allowed to go to 8.5. Okay. 8 minutes. That's it. And so then you have already set the stage with desire. I've got 8 minutes. I'm not allowed to do more than 8. There's a limit. And it's not going to take you longer than 8 minutes. And now here's the real helpful piece. Not that these aren't, but here's the key is tie it to something you already do. So how many hands do you use to brush your teeth?
One.
Okay. And you said you had handbells?
I've got plates. Yeah, I've got weights.
Good. So put one of your weight plates on your sink next to your bathroom sink. And as you're brushing your teeth, you're going to do 2 minutes because what is it? The dentists say 2 minutes, right? So do 2 minutes with one hand. And then as you're rinsing, do 2 minutes with the other hand. There's 4 minutes already. And so now you've done the half of it and that you've already started. And then you can just do whatever the next 4 minutes worth are. That's easy. Tie it to some habit you already have. That's the third step.
Brilliant. That makes a lot of sense because then you're not piling on top of. So basically you're just changing your morning ritual, whatever you want to call it, your routine, your morning routine. And actually you're just adding something in there. Yeah, that makes sense. That would be the easiest way to make it become a habit.
Yes. And it also means you're not going to think about it as much because if you have the weight or whatever, if you have it right there with next to your toothbrush, you're going to start to do it automatically. And here's the interesting thing. If you do that every single day for 14 days, usually takes people about 14 days, all of a sudden you're going to probably feel like, oh, I feel like I want to do a little more this morning. And so after 14 days, you're allowed to do a little more. And it doesn't matter how much more. But you'll know, your body will be like,
Baby steps. Yes, I suppose my issue, I've always been a little bit of all or nothing. But there is no reason. And tying in with any of that, there is no reason. Just because we have these things set, you think you've got to go do a whole hour or a 2-hour yoga class, hot yoga, or we make things bigger than they need to be.
Yeah. also our Western culture is all about, we are imperfect. So we always need to push more, bigger, shinier, faster, whatever, right? So we have this kind of all or nothing mentality that our culture is pushing us towards. And if you look at most Eastern cultures do not have that. Not all, but in general, the traditional Eastern cultures were all about, can you live in the moment? Can you allow yourself to know that you are 100% perfectly imperfect, and you will never be perfect? Horrifying to think of, right? We'll never be perfect. So why bother striving for something that you can never actually reach?
Yeah. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, don't we?
Huge.
Massive
And think
amount of
about
pressure.
it. Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure on us as women, and however you identify, right? If you identify feminine or masculine, but on every single human being. Think about if every human being, this is horrifying to any economists, but if every human being on the planet knew that they were absolutely whole and perfect the way they are, we wouldn't buy makeup. We might not shave, any of us. We probably wouldn't have 40 pairs of shoes or 20 suits or 100 ties. We'd probably only have 4 kinds of cars available for the entire population, right? So we'd have a truck, a small car, a medium car, and a big car. All of the things that we buy and strive for because we feel like we're not perfect. And we could crash the economy if we actually realized that we're perfectly imperfect.
Well, but we don't know though, do we? You don't know what would come out of that. But yeah, you're right. I'm dyeing my hair because I'm grey. Because
right there.
But yes, it's only these pressures that, okay, I've put that pressure on myself that I don't want people to see me grey, which is a bit silly, really.
It's also the culture, right? Because the culture doesn't value, our culture, Western culture in general, doesn't value us getting old. It doesn't value the wisdom of elders. We don't have an elder system so much. Catherine May talks about this a lot, right? That we go right from being youthful to being old. Yeah. But in a lot of traditional societies, you go from youth to older to elder. And elder is, oh, let me come sit at your feet and bring you tea and listen to your wisdom. Old is, go over there in the corner. We're not going to talk to you.
Yeah, such a shame. How has this changed? How has this changed?
Consumerism and the patriarchy. And by patriarchy, I don't just mean masculine. The patriarchy is really the idea of the paternal. So someone who is above us telling us what is good for us. Doesn't always have to be masculine. But the patriarchy has set this system up that is all about telling us that we are imperfect and need to be fixed. Yes. And so if we're not perfect, we need more money. We need to look fixing. Better. We need fixing.
Yeah. So that goes back to why it's so important to reconnect with your heart and reclaim yourself. Because when we feel whole, we feel complete, we know our worth, that's when things change, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do we do it? How do we do that, Amrita?
So there are a bunch of ways, but there's a really quick practice. It takes 4 breaths, maybe. So I'm happy to.
Can't be that easy, Amrita. Can't be that happy.
Right,
can't be that easy.
We'll try it and then just see how you feel. So notice for a minute, and if you're watching this, go ahead and do this with us because it's really fun. And you can just try it as an experiment. Right. So notice as you're sitting here, just notice for a minute first, take a deep breath in and exhale it out. And just notice how your body feels. Notice what's happening with your mind. Notice what you're paying attention to, how many thoughts are racing through your mind. And notice how this area between the bottom of your throat and your heart feels. So this whole area. And then as you start to focus on an area, it's about midway between your heart and the bottom of your throat. And that is called the compassion center. There's actually a chakra that's there. It's in the minor chakra set. So focusing on that and just bringing your attention as your thoughts drift off. Okay, how much longer do I have? What do I have to pay attention to? Is the mic recording? Right, all of that. So bring that attention. And if you're sitting, listening to this somewhere, bring that attention to your compassion center. And imagine diving into it. So imagine you could just literally dive back inward. And as you dive into that center, notice what happens with your breathing. And did your lower belly relax a little?
Yes.
Did your jaw relax a little? And again, staying focused. So 2 more breaths. Stay focused on that compassion center. And imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in this beautiful pink vibration. It's sparkly. So whatever shade of pink. But imagine breathing it right into the compassion center. And with each breath that you bring that vibration in, you're filling up your compassion center. So you can imagine it filling like a beaker or a ball of energy. And then as it fills, it starts to spill out, and now you're sending it out. And just imagine it going out directly out of the front of your body. And imagine it heading all over the world. So going to whoever needs compassion in this moment. And now notice, how does your body feel now?
Very relaxed.
And how connected to other people, even if you don't know them, do you feel?
Yeah, feel connected.
And when you feel connected to other people, how connected do you feel to your own heart?
Very much.
And how compassionate can you be with your own areas that you're not quite satisfied with yet?
Yeah.
So there's a quick way to reconnect.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, you don't have to do an hour's meditation to get the benefits from it. There you go, few minutes. Like we say, things that are easy to do are just as easy not to do. Where's that from? That's from some book. And there be the thing. It's always, isn't it? It's always the simple things that work. We overcomplicate. I'm terrible for that. I overcomplicate things and then I have to take it off and simplify because my natural, I don't know why that is. Maybe that is a thing that we all tend to do. We try to overcomplicate it, but actually take off. And it's always the simple things that work best.
Yeah. And again, that's part of our culture because our culture says, oh, it can't possibly be simple. If it were simple, we couldn't sell you things.
Ah, there we go again.
Right?
Very true, though.
If it's simple, you don't have to pay for a yoga class membership. If it's simple, you don't have to buy yoga gear. If it's right, truly, if you go to a lot of places in the world and you go do yoga, you just show up and whatever is under your feet, you do yoga. You don't have a mat. I've taught yoga classes in jeans and a t-shirt because I was teaching to groups of people who they were unhoused and they didn't have a space. They didn't have the clothing. They didn't have the mats. We would just go wherever we were and we would do the yoga we could do in that space in whatever clothes we had on. So when we make things really simple, there's this message from the culture that says, oh, no, you got to buy some stuff. Keep the economy going. Yeah. It's insidious.
Very true. Never thought
but
of
how
it like
simple.
That.
Yeah. Think of how much calmer our lives would be if we actually accepted everything can be really simple when we allow it.
Absolutely. And also something like that, like I say, yeah, I do meditate, but I'll say I try to, I call it by practicing, I'm unthinking. So I was thinking, yeah, so same thing, focusing on the breath. So it could be a few minutes, then think, then do. And if we all found a way to dance between those, not just do it the once, but imagine how better our day would be if we just had these little, rather than, because we're in such a doing world, aren't we? It's do, break it up and have periods of unthinking, thinking, doing. I'm sure we'd be more productive. I know that I found it definitely for me when I do it. I get complacent and I go off the track.
We all do. I'm right there with you. Oh, yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because then I know that it's okay. Okay, let's go back to doing that because it will help. It's just so we're just such bizarre creatures, I think.
Well,
because so many things that we know to do and we want certain results, and yet we go again. We press that, some of us, not all, but some of us press that self-sabotage button.
So again, language is really powerful.
Yeah,
right?
I'm being hard on myself again.
We all do, and we all do it, right? Because again, we've been really well trained. We've been really well trained that we are not perfect. And there's something wrong that has to be fixed. And it shows up in our language, right? Oh, it's self-sabotage. What if it's just not taking a moment to think? Right? So that idea of response, I always like to take the word responsibility, which we've turned into who's to blame for this, and I pull it apart. So it's the ability to respond. So we all have this, right? We're responding all the time to everything. We can't help it because we can't shut our ears off. We can't shut our eyes off. You can close them, but you still see stuff, right? You can't stop breathing. So we're responding to the air. But when we start to pay attention to, okay, this thing is happening, I'm responding to it, whether it's I get angry or I get happy or, oh, I'm cold or I'm hot or, wow, that was a loud noise, whatever, right? Or, oh, that person is very upset over there. So there's my response. And then exhale 3 times. Don't inhale, because when you inhale, everything gets tight. Exhale 3 times. If you take 3 exhales and you notice what you're responding to, you're more likely to choose an action that leads to a better outcome. Right? So we call it knee-jerk reactions, right? That's when the response comes and the action comes right after. So if the response comes in, somebody's yelling at you, right? And you're like, and the first thing that happens is your whole body goes, whoa, what's going on? And right, anger or whatever, surprise. Exhale 3 times because that starts to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is what will help your heart rate go down. It's what increases blood flow to the brain. So now you can think and you go, okay, so there's that person yelling. What do I want to have happen next? I want calm. It's my default, right? Okay, so I have a couple of choices. I can yell back. That probably won't get me any more calm than is happening right now. I can walk out, or I can simply wait until they're done yelling and then choose an action, right? But now all of a sudden, instead of this, I'm going to yell back or I'm going to toss something or whatever, I have choices that I see. So back to where we started, which is when we see the choices, we have more options. And when we have more options, we feel more confident. And when we feel more confident, we feel more aligned. And when we feel more aligned, we are more resonant with our hearts.
Love it.
Long, big circle.
Yeah. Isn't it? I suppose, yeah, when we are just reactive, which, yes, I would say that a lot of people are just going about their day reacting to what's in front of them.
Sure.
Is that the ego? Is that the ego part of the mind just responding due to past programmings?
I don't know that I would call it ego. I tend to think of it as there's a point when we're very tiny babies. Before we recognize that we are separate from other people. And even little kids will do this too. They're very empathetic, right? Little kids are very empathetic. They get a little bit older, like they get to be 2 or 3. And that's when the no, everyone always says, oh yeah, the toddler years, they're going to say no all the time. Well, the no is because all of a sudden they go, I'm not part of you all. I'm separate. And then they're testing, like, where do I end? Where am I? Where do I begin? So that happens, right? There's a level of that. But I think what also happens is that because of our cultures and because of how we approach everything from a materialistic and paternalistic standpoint, we forget that we are not who we think we are. So if I ask you, are you your hand? Are you your body? You're like, no, this is my body. This is mine. That I'm not the body. And so, okay, so you're not the body. Are you your organs? No, they're mine. Are you your feelings? No, they happen, but they're not me. Are you your mind? No, those are just thoughts. I have thoughts, right? I have a body. I have organs. I have emotions. So then the question is, okay, if none of those things are you, can you start from that understanding and step back into witness? And that's the part that as adults, we haven't actually learned how to do very well, is to witness, oh, look at what I am doing as this person in this body feeling this thing.
Yeah.
And we haven't created, again, it's about creating distance internally. The same way we create distance when we look at, okay, this event happened, I had this response, I'm choosing this action. We also can do the same thing. And it's about, you said a great word, you said doing all the time. And what we really can start to move into is being. Right? So I'm not gonna wake up in the morning and do joy. I'm gonna be joyful. And I can choose to do everything all throughout the whole day being joyful. Right? I can be joyful. I can get on a podcast recording and be joyful. I can call my dog or walk my dog and be joyfully walking my dog. I can meet every single person I meet being joyful, which is a very different energy than if I say, I'm going to go do joy today.
Yeah. I'm going to meditate and I'm going to be joyful. Yeah, it's a whole different energy. And I suppose, and it goes again back to free will. If people realize that we can choose how we want things to be in every single moment, but somehow we have been conditioned to get caught up in stories and caught up in reacting to certain things that's in front of us.
Yeah.
But
you said that just beautifully. Yeah,
it goes back, up. Doesn't it?
Yeah. We get
caught up. Yeah. See, there's still so much to learn.
It never stops, honestly. I'm a huge fan of learning. I'm always looking for what's the next thing. I'm reading a Ram Dass book right now that I just started listening to his lectures, and I hadn't ever before. And I'm just fascinated. And I think there's so much, or I read physics books for fun. I do. Because they're all talking about the same thing. They're talking about this universe and the energy and the consciousness that we live in. And if I could wish one thing for every human being on the planet, I would wish that we all could remember how excited we were about life when we were 4 years old. We were all super excited. And we also had the attitude of, I wonder what will happen if I do this, or if I do that, or if I try this, or if I taste this.
We were more curious.
And we were
curious. We've lost somehow. We've lost that. You said earlier about we need to find a way to ask ourselves questions. And that, I think, is actually really important because people don't. They don't ask themselves anything. They do. And then when they're home, they're distracted by telly and news and this and that. So they actually don't sit with themselves and ask themselves how they're feeling or what's going on. It's something that we've been conditioned not to do that. And many women can then, even if they are going to do yoga or meditation or spending time on self-care, it can actually not have the same effect, because then they feel guilty, which is, you just wasted the whole point in doing it, because they feel guilty about doing the self-care. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you just said something which is really key, which is people go and do stuff all day long, and then they come home and they're exhausted, and they sit in front of the TV because they're exhausted. Here's a challenge, and this just popped into my head as we're talking. So I'd be really curious if you try it. I'm going to try it. And if anyone out there tries it, I'd love to, if you guys will message us and let us know how it goes. But when you start your day, pick one day and just, instead of doing all day, when you wake up in the morning, simply say, today I'm going to be. I'm going to be. And I'm going to take these actions as I am being myself. And maybe put a reminder on your phone, put a reminder on your watch, whatever, calendar. And every hour, say that again. Remind yourself, because human beings suck at remembering things. So remind yourself again with I'm a fan of sticky notes. I'm a fan of wallpaper on the phones. So again, every hour, today I'm going to be. I'm going to take these actions, and I'm going to be. And notice at the end of the day, even if it's a really busy day, notice, how do you feel at the end of the day when you've just been being you, taking action rather than doing?
All right, and you're going to feel a lot more energetic, because somehow when you are in that space, it feels like it does energize you.
Yeah. I think even just me laying it out, you had that reaction of, oh, that would feel way better.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's bizarre. Yeah, I suppose it is this. We are in a doing society. We feel pressure that we've always got to be doing, being busy. But I know for my own self, and I only last year, I think I reread or got it on. I don't read books anymore. I listen to them. Thank goodness for Audible. But Eckhart Tolle's got such a wonderful voice that I really don't mind hearing it. But it was through re-listening to that, which is a book I read 20 years ago, but should not have only read it once. And that was I've been getting it all wrong. I always thought it was all about the thoughts, but actually it was the being. Yes, there's so much power in that. I'm totally sold on it. And guess what? It's free.
Yeah. It's absolutely
it's free to be. It's free to be.
And it's so interesting too, because our language has evolved around the way we think about the world. And isn't it interesting that we are the only being on the planet that we also have to remind ourselves that we're beings, because we call ourselves human beings. We don't say tiger beings or turtle beings. We say human beings. So it's like there's already in the language there was some reason for us to always constantly remind ourselves, all right, we're a being. I'm a being. I'm not a human doing.
No. Right. So less doing, more being.
Yes.
So for the listeners out there, what is it you specifically do? Who do you help? How do you help?
Let's see. So I specifically help people who are going through a big change and either looking for more meaning or a different meaning than they've been living in the last whatever years of their life. Most often it's around relationships or career change. So I do a lot of life and career coaching that tie together, because they're always tied together. And I work with people for 4-month periods, because that's what creates sustainable change. And so it's really about creating the transformation that they want And my job is to have them tell me, okay, I'm here and I want to be here and I can see where I want to be, but I don't know how to get there. So my job is to say, okay, let's start. Let's get you action steps. And then let's really look at, as we're working and you're working on the action steps, my job is to point out that thing you keep avoiding over there in the corner. Let's figure out how that is getting you stuck and how's that getting in your way. So it's often beliefs or habits or language, as we've already talked about how powerful language changes can be. And so that's who I really love working with. And yeah, it's funny. I always feel like a proud parent when I work with a client and they reach their goals, because I'm like, yes, you did it. You can graduate yourself. That's awesome. So that's the work I do. It's really about systemic human change. And and I love it.
And so if they can't see your information down here, how do they find you?
So they can find me through anunstoppableife.com or An Unstoppable Life on Instagram or An Unstoppable Life on Facebook or Amrita Rose, An Unstoppable Life on LinkedIn. And if you are interested, if you sign up for my newsletter, I send out a newsletter every week. It's book reviews and music and life tips and blog posts and guided meditations. And I don't spam anybody because I hate spam, but you can go to my website and sign up for the newsletter. And if you really have a lot on your plate and you're like, wow, this all sounds really great, and there's no possible way I could take any of this on, you can always check out my book, because my book has a lot in there. It's No Plaid Suits, how not to have a boring normal life. And it's on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and some indie bookstores locally. But it's a lot of what I work with clients on that you can just take home and you can open it. A lot of people just use it. They open it to one essay. You don't have to read it the whole way through.
So it's full of lots of tips of different things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, I love emailing. So go to my website, anunstoppableife.com. Email me if you have a question or you want to run something by me or you want clarification on something we covered today.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time today. So to sum up what we're talking about here, how would you sum that up simply?
I would sum it up by saying, remember that you are a being, not a doing, and that you are perfectly imperfect, eternal, and whole.
Wonderful. And that is the truth. That is the truth. And yeah, I suppose that's where so many of our issues come from, because many don't feel worthy. And quite often it's I know I'm dealing with stuff still. Consciously, I'm not. I'm like, I know I'm worthy, but unconsciously, I know there's stuff.
We're human. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's stuff playing out on an unconscious level. But nobody needs fixing. You're all perfect. You're all okay. You're all okay. So thank you for all those tips as well. So the 4 minute, I desire to do my workout in the morning.
Excellent.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was such a fun conversation.
Thank you. It was a great conversation. And to the rest of you guys, I will be back tomorrow with a Coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.